Hello, welcome to Jerusalem. It's the eve of the 70th anniversary of the foundation of the State of Israel, and it happens to also be Jerusalem Day. I'm with Irris Makler, our Jerusalem correspondent.
Hello, friends. So this is Jerusalem Day, and we are all walking on the train tracks because they've blocked the tracks so that all of us can walk. And they've blocked it for this march, and it's a march in celebration of Jerusalem Day.
And they speak French, these ones. Wait, what were you singing? Je parle en français, en anglais. I'm speaking English. It's for the English. C'est pour la version anglaise. Anybody speak English? Personne? Nobody speaks English.
I speak English.
You speak English. What were you singing?
What are we singing? Like Israel is the best nation. Israel Chai, and we all the time we'll be here and we'll love it. Like,
why do you guys speak French?
they speak
our parents.
Our parents.
Okay.
From France.
Okay. And you're Marseille fans.
No,
in Paris.
Paris,
Lyon, Marseille.
Okay. All right. That's clear. Okay. Okay. Sorry, we got distracted. We're supposed to be talking politics here. It's not sports. My fault. Okay. So Jerusalem Day, explain this to me.
Jerusalem Day is the day, it's a national holiday, not even the trains work, and it's a national holiday celebrating the reunification of Jerusalem. That is when Israel conquered East Jerusalem in the 1967 war. And so it's, very timely that you're here. You thought you were just here for the embassy, but it doesn't always fall on the same dates, but now it has this year.
Right, okay, and that's clear. Let's explain where we are. We're on Jaffa Street, and over here is the big market. It's called the Shuk, right?
The Shuk, the Souk, it's the same word in Arabic and in Hebrew almost. And this is what was just once a food market, but is now a market for all kinds of things, beautiful restaurants, clothes, bars at night. It's become quite different.
It's become quite different. And we're in, just to be clear, we're in West Jerusalem.
We are in West Jerusalem, and what this Jerusalem holiday celebrates, and not if you're Palestinian, of course, is the fact that Israel took over both West Jerusalem, the Jewish side, and annexed to itself East Jerusalem, the Palestinian side.
Okay, so you've lived through other Jerusalem days. This one must feel very different.
Yes, I mean, this is not uncommon. This is an ordinary Jerusalem Day kind of celebration, but the combination of the American embassy moving to Jerusalem, the fact that Israel won the Eurovision last night, all these things together have made the country feel like it's on a roll.
It's funny because there really are competing stories here. Everybody's talking to us. Everyone we've spoken to has been talking to us about Israel winning the Eurovision Song Contest.
And it's interesting because Israel wins it about once every 20 years, so it was due for a win.
Better than France.
It was due for a win, and it has in fact done it. I think, I was thinking back to the last winner 20 years ago, was a transsexual female, and that was groundbreaking. And I think Netta Barzilai, who won yesterday, is also groundbreaking in her way. Her speech was all about accepting the other, because she is, as she says, I was fat, I am fat. She's an unusual girl in every sense of the word, and she won this year.
Yeah, message of tolerance.
Message of tolerance, message of acceptance, and that's what she said.
Right, and it's timely in a way. I know there's been a lot of jokes because the Prime Minister congratulated her, and in Google Translate it didn't quite work, I'm told.
No, I'm sure it wouldn't. It almost doesn't work in Hebrew. It's a new phrase. It's one of these words that's changed from one thing to another. So now if you say kapara alayich, which is what he said to her, it means praise, but it doesn't translate that way back into English.
No. Okay. And we're now walking away from the market down the hill, and this is also, if you want to understand the politics of Israel, you have to understand its geography. It's all about going up and down hills.
Up and down hills.
Hello there.
Hi. Rabbi Nachman ומאומן.
up and down hills, certainly, and if geography is destiny, you go up and down hills between the various areas that different people live in here. Like, it's very tribal, you'd almost say.
Yeah.
As well as the division into east and west between Palestinians and Israelis, there are areas where different Israelis live. Soon we will pass, we may have already passed, I'm losing track of where I am, where the ultra-Orthodox area of Mea Shearim, and that's where ultra-Orthodox Jews live, and not many other Jews will live with them.
Right. And look, when you look at this concentrate of tribes, as you describe it, that's here in Jerusalem, what do you make of Trump's decision? Like, how much of it has to do with the influence of powerful Jewish lobbies in America, and how much of it has to do with stuff that has nothing to do whatsoever with Israel?
I would say most of it has nothing to do with Israel, and it's all about Trump and what he's promised his base. It was important to him. You know, two things I've observed when I watch Trump in Washington. One is, if he made a promise, he likes to be able to say, I kept it, and this was a pre-election promise. And the other thing he likes to be able to say is, I'm undoing Obama's legacy. So different things are important in different ways, and I think that's the Iran deal, which is also relevant to Israel. So the Iran deal, I would say, is all
within the 7-day time period. You know, you've got all this going on at the same time. How do people feel? Like, is this like a special moment if you're a supporter of the current government?
Yes, I would say so. I feel like this Prime Minister is on a roll. The Iran deal was it was his baby. In fact, Donald Trump used his words in his speech. And so we have that, we have the moving of the embassy, we have the exchange in Syria, and we have the win in the Eurovision, and it's all at once.
Right. It couldn't go better for him.
It couldn't go better for him.
So once you've gone up, there's only one direction you can go in. No, I don't know. I'm just being difficult.
You can go
from strength to strength. So what's next is the question.
You know, there is still something hanging over his head, and that's all the criminal investigations that are ongoing, open and ongoing.
Right.
So I'm sure that sits on his shoulder. But you would have to say this has been a very successful month for Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah. Now, Monday, we're going to be hosting a special edition of the France 24 debate from the Mount of Olives. We're going to be looking over the old city about the questions of politics that we've been talking about, of society, of religion. And it's the day Israel will turn 70, a Jewish state, a Jewish secular state. And when you're in Jerusalem, again, this is not all of Israel, it's Jerusalem, you get a concentrate of all the religiousness. Is Israel still a Jewish secular state?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm not sure how secular it is anymore. Jerusalem, you're right, sits apart, and Jerusalem is a very religious city. It's not just a very religious Jewish city. You know, when I was just in the old city today where I saw you, and it's always reinforced for you how much it is a Muslim, how much important that city is to Muslims, how important it is to Christians. So this is a city of religiousness. It is also, in terms of Israel, I think a time when Israel is becoming more religious. There's no doubt about that. The religious have always had a hand in politics. They seem to have the deciding hand in politics on many issues, and that affects everything but including especially the situation of women.
Because when I look at the crowd here, the question I ask myself is, are these people singing and celebrating out of a nationalist fervor, or is it for them a religious question?
That's a very good question. When I look at that crowd, they're all wearing the Jewish head covering. I'd say it was pretty much equally nationalist and religious.
Right.
If you were in Tel Aviv and you saw a crowd with fewer head coverings, fewer other indications of religiousness, you might say it's just a nationalist fervor.
Right.
But here, it's definitely a mix.
It's definitely a mix, and you've been here for a number of years, Irris, right? Is it easy to just read it, or for you can decipher where people are coming from easily, or do you scratch your head when you have to go on live with us and think, oh my God, what is going on today? Because
no, it does change. It's interesting because it doesn't just change here. I remember when I first came, I would go to Ramallah, and I wasn't wearing a headscarf, and nor was my translator, and nor were many other women. And then over time, I remember looking up one day and saying to my translator, you and I knew are the only women here without headscarves. So it's not just here that you notice, it's a gradual change, like the boiling frog. One day you look around and you think, oh my God, I'm the only woman, fill in the blank, whatever you've just realized, and it's different on different sides of the line.
Right. Because we came, of course, for the 60th. I remember being here with for a special show we did at the time, and there is the sense, because of the Trump announcement, that it's different. But the other challenges at the time were: is Israel going to be losing its identity with the influx of new citizens from Eastern Europe? That seems to all be over.
Yeah, no, that's been a quite successful integration, actually. I speak some Russian. I was based in Moscow before, so when I have the opportunity, I speak Russian to the Russian Israelis here, and I enjoy that, and they enjoy that, but they really are very much part of this life, and they don't need to, I'm doing that for myself. They are very integrated in here.
All right. Filming us here is a gentleman. Sir, where are you from?
I come from France.
Are you from France?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Je viens de la France. Ouais.
Whereabouts? De quelle ville?
Créteil.
Créteil,
Yes.
the suburbs of Paris. What brings you to Israel?
Je viens en Israël pour voir qu'est-ce qui se passe et puis participer au 70e anniversaire d'Israël.
Okay.
Ouais, c'est ça.
He's saying he's come here to see what's happening and to take part in the 70th anniversary.
Yes.
Okay.
Pardon, en anglais.
Je traduisais ce que vous disiez. I was translating what you were saying. Okay. Well, bonne journée, bon courage. Like, all right. So yeah. It was interesting what that man said. He's here as a tourist, but he's here for the celebration of Israel's 70th anniversary.
You know what you will find? We didn't ask him if he was Christian, but there's a lot of deeply felt Christian support for Israel, and you will find the most unusual array of Americans, Africans, Asians, Filipinos who come because of their Christian feeling for Israel.
Right. Of course, the Arab Christians feel differently.
The Arab Christians feel differently.
So, how do you explain this Christian bond with Israel?
I don't know precisely how to explain it. I know that it's very strong because I've interviewed a number of these from really literally all over the world. Oh my God! This is
This is the mic flag, Irris. Well, you know what? All right, let's stop here 1 second. When this is over, I'm going to give Irris the mic flag because she sometimes you don't have the mic flag.
I don't have this, and I really need it.
She's going to hear "Vive la France" a lot more.
I didn't realize quite how much this was a French city, Jerusalem, city of France.
Anyway, so yeah, you were saying about the Christian bond.
I've seen it. It's very strong. I live in a pilgrim village myself, and I am surrounded by Africans, Asians, everyone from all over the world, and it's really strong. And they come here in the footsteps of Jesus, but to be with the Jewish people. That's what they say to me.
Okay, Marc Cousinet is the man behind the camera here, or behind because it is a Facebook Live behind the iPhone. Marc, we might have trouble navigating here, so you might want to turn around. And it sounds like it's about to get louder.
I think this is also to keep people off this. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just to do with the party, but I think it's also to keep anybody off this road.
So, all right.
Oh my God!
Wow.
It's party time, isn't it?
Quite a view then. So tell us the view here that we're seeing.
We are more French. We are walking down. Basically, ahead of us is the old city. Ahead of us is what was no man's land before 1967. We will get down there. That's much further down, but that's the direction we're going in. And then there's the old city, and that's the Palestinian side of Jerusalem. And we are heading there into this party that takes place between there and here.
So what happens now? People just party in the street?
I think that's what, from what I can see, that's exactly what happens. There may also be speeches. Israelis seem to like speeches. But there'll definitely be music and balloons, I can see, and celebration.
All right. Final word before we go. So party atmosphere on this side. The rest of the team, and by the way, we're going to be, the special will be in French, but also with Raphael Khan in French, with myself in English, but also Tawfiq Mjahid in Arabic. They're over at Damascus Gate, where I can imagine it's a different atmosphere right now. And the May 14th or May 15th for the Arabs is not a celebration. It's what they call the catastrophe.
That's right. It's the Nakba Day, because for them the catastrophe is the creation of the State of Israel. So there the feeling is the opposite. In fact, this triumphalism would distress them. Their feeling is that this is a time of mourning. It will be quiet over there. There may even after a while be demonstrations. So it'll be a sorrowful feeling followed perhaps by violence.
You know, that brings us back to Donald Trump, and this will be my final question to you, Irris. You have this idea that, yes, Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, but to finalize that, let's first have the peace process. He's saying, no, let's recognize what's already a fact. Do you see his point, or is this going to put oil on the fire?
I think it's oil on the fire, and I think it's also quite interesting that he has said, I've taken Jerusalem off the table. And I thought, only in your own mind, only in the mind of Donald Trump is Jerusalem no longer an issue. On the ground, it is the same issue it's always been, and it hasn't been resolved simply by a declaration or a recognition, neither by moving the embassy nor by a recognition from Donald Trump in Washington.
Many thanks for that. And of course, these are some of the topics we'll be broaching. It's always a pleasure to see you, Irris.
Pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure even to have you on the other side of the camera when you're in Jerusalem or in the Golan Heights like you were the other day. Remember to join us Monday. We're going to be live on France 24 at 8:10 p.m. Jerusalem time, 7:10 p.m. in Paris for a special edition after that ceremony where the U.S. Embassy will formally have moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem on the day of Israel's 70th anniversary. Thanks for joining us for this Facebook Live.